Greetings. It is October the 8th, and we're going to have some fun for about 30 quick minutes talking about all things artificial intelligence and senior living. My co-host today is Arnell Belda. If you have questions, just please chime them in, or you can raise your hand. We could do this quietly or interactively, however you decide. And basically, we're going to rip through a pretty high level of what's happening with artificial intelligence today in the senior living world. My name is Lance Bell. I'm the CEO and Chief Artificial Intelligence Officer for ServingIntel. ServingIntel is a technology company that's focused on serving the healthcare space, specifically senior living communities. We work with all care types. We started off in independent living and moved into assisted. We help with dementia care and skilled nursing. We do a lot of lifespan communities. We serve the United States and Canada today. And so, as a software manufacturer and a professional services and products provider, we include custom hardware, installation, everything that's needed to make this stuff stand up and work in the communities. We were the first to create a large language model for the senior living world. This was 2.5 years ago now, when ChatGPT revolutionized our life with the 3.5 model that they had released. And an interesting side note, I've been following artificial intelligence for about 25 years. In fact, the term AI comes from the 1960s. And so the idea or the dream has been around for a very long time. But now we actually have something that works. And today, over the last 2.5 years, we have some spectacular things that work. So this is going to be a high overview, kind of what we're doing. Our mission is to create enterprise class products and solutions. We are a Microsoft shop. So everything that we do is in the Microsoft Azure cloud, the way that we encrypt and preserve data and move data around the senior living community. And our goal here is to simplify the lives of operators, to replace pen and paper and use software solutions that enhance resident quality of life, and of course, increase net operating income. That's why we do what we do. So what are some of the things that artificial intelligence is solving? There's a lot. We still have certain markets around the United States and Canada that have labor shortages. There's a lot of different ways that AI goes to alleviate that. It makes the employees, the team members you currently have, more productive. It's a huge opportunity for it. And it's not just obviously in the senior living world. I teach classes. I live outside of Chicago. I teach classes in our local area, and I mostly get older folks that come into these classroom settings that want to know the basics of AI. And AI does a lot of amazing things. It can help you write an email. It can help you with the grocery list. In fact, I use AI to remember things during the week that I need to pick up at Sam's Club and Walmart. So it helps me personally in a lot of different ways. And of course, scaling these things or tailoring these solutions for senior living is where it really gets exciting. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about operations, especially with staff. We're going to focus in on what I like to call transactions or interactions. They kind of start in the dining room, but obviously they go to every area of a senior living community. How to keep residents safer and how to enhance the social aspect of their lives, keeping them more connected. And then, if you're doing nothing today, how do you get started? How do you engage in all of this? These are some of the things that we're going to go through. So from a simplifying operation standpoint, AI is multimodal, MODAL. And what that means is if you're familiar at all with AI, you're probably familiar with chat. That's where a lot of this starts off. So you have a keyboard, you type in text, request sentences, questions, whatever, and you get a reply back from a large language model. AI is way beyond that. And so today, what our team has created is a digital avatar. It's a face, lip sync, talks to you. It's like having a human interaction with another person. And this is voice to text and text to voice or audio. And so this started with us when ChatGPT released what was called advanced voice. You can literally, with your hands-free device, be driving down the road, having an engaging conversation about anything. I was diving into quantum physics and learning about string theory not too long ago while driving down the interstate. Basically, anything that you can think of that you're curious about, AI is there to assist you. And one of the things that's kind of hard for us as humans to grasp is basically these models we're now beyond a trillion parameters in these large models. These models have basically all of human history in a single model. And so you can ask questions and get replies in the style or in the format of Albert Einstein or William Shakespeare. You can do it because you want to hear, funny dialect or a foreign language. You can learn a foreign language, literally. And here's one of the things when people are asking, how do I get started with this? It's like, that's a great question for you to ask AI. Yeah, how do I write a great prompt? Ask AI how to write a great prompt. AI will actually teach you those things that you might be stalling with as you sit there kind of struggling, like, how do I get started? Now, how we use AI today, we're blessed in that we have a platform and our AI ties into the database. So we, in the data warehouse in Azure, we have all these communities all over the continent that in real time are feeding data up to this data warehouse. It's called a multi-tenant warehouse. So all the data goes into this big giant database. And what our digital assistant does is it queries that database. So this is a voice to text to SQL query request. And so the questions you can ask are, what was the number one selling item yesterday? Did the resident Mary Sue eat breakfast today? How many residents did we serve last week? Because it's historical, there's no limit. You can ask, what was the top 5 selling items last year? And in anywhere from 4 to 10 seconds, depending on how deep or how complicated your query is, you get this data fed right back to you. It's on your digital phone, it's on your screen, and of course, the avatar speaks the data to you. So you have at your fingertips all of the data for your senior living community where you can sit and dream and ask questions. And then that's where your mind takes it to the next level, where you're merging the historical data that you have into how can I make today or tomorrow better? So most of our senior living communities are broken down into what we call internally revenue centers. So you have concierge, the front desk, you have dining room, one or more dining rooms. A lot of our senior living communities have a convenience store. Most of them have a salon. Each one of these areas is a different revenue center and they all provide a different experience. Well, the data flows in from all of those different sit places. So you can ask questions specific like, our resident satisfaction surveys are going down in our dining room. How do we make them go back up? What ideas can you give me to help increase resident satisfaction? And the solution will provide you, in fact, sometimes too many ideas that you have to really parlay into. So AI helps with what I call ideation, called dreaming. What could we be doing better to increase our occupancy rate, our satisfaction scores, and our net operating income? Then when you get the ideas, then you can get tactical, where you can actually create a project plan. The project plan can have steps. It'll tell you, it'll give you estimates on time for completing each steps and deadlines. And then here's the most important thing. You'll even get key performance indicators that are put into these project plans so that you're able to grade yourself on how well you did executing these plans. And that's when you get into dashboards and insights. You can tie these things together into visual representations and really be able to do some great stuff. So reducing staff stress. It was not Albert Einstein who said doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results is insanity. It was actually from a novel back during his time frame, but he never said that. But stress comes in our lives from doing things expecting an outcome that we don't get. That's what generates anxiety. And unfortunately, stress and anxiety, these are emotional responses. And we solve problems right here in our frontal lobe, in our logic center of our minds. And so, what AI helps do is it helps corral the emotion and it enhances the creativity. This is another thing about artificial intelligence that a lot of people don't understand is that artificial intelligence makes you smarter because you have to think more in order to engage into the process of solving a problem or enhancing a situation. It forces you to increase your creativity. And I don't consider myself to be a very creative individual. I have other people like Arnell, I have other individuals in my world who are gifted with creativeness. I just look at the world from a problem solving standpoint. How can I impact and improve the lives of other people? And if you, some of you, if you've been around the world for a little bit, you might know a gentleman named Zig Ziglar. He's got a very famous quote: "If you help enough other people in life get what they need and want, you'll get everything that you need and want in life." And I live by that. I believe that. So our digital assistant, we have avatars. The second one actually that we created is a gentleman named Rudy, and we kind of latched onto that as a team. So we refer to Rudy AI quite a bit. And so Rudy assists the senior living operation by helping you with questions and answers, reports, prioritizing workflows, all the things you need to do. And what this provides for you is a higher level of productivity. When your productivity and impact go up as a member of a senior living community, your stress and anxiety come down and you're able to get more done. And that's one of the exciting things I love about the world that we live in right now is that we can do these things now. Enhancing the resident experience actually means a few things. And one of the things that, we've talked about, we've had dietary for decades. We've had allergies for decades. The thing that a lot of senior living communities don't really get to is the level of preferences. To know that Mr. Jones always for breakfast has whole wheat toast dry. So what do we as humans do or as operators do? Every morning we ask Mr. Jones, how would you like your toast? And he tells us the same thing that he has for the last 5 years. He wants whole wheat toast and he wants it dry. So collecting these bits of data and creating what's called a persona, but it's actually just simply personal preferences into a card in a CRM is what we do. So we have a table in our database called the people table. And it's not just name and birth date and key fields that come across from an electronic health system or property management system. It's actually we bring together all of these things that the staff pick up on a resident and the resident shares with the system. Because these AI solutions aren't just for staff, they're actually for your residents as well. They help with inventory, and this is one of the fun things that we were able to do last year. Most of our senior living communities are on a rotating menu. It's a 5-week cycle or a 13-week cycle, and it's not very efficient doing it that way unless you're have an exceptional menu programming program. You tend to put items out 1 or 2 times during that cycle, and you don't see them again. And this is what we ran into is we had chef and kitchen managers across the country where they were guessing how much of something to make. And so if tonight we're going to have chicken marsala and we're going to serve meatloaf with gravy and mashed potatoes, the staff would guess how many portions of each of these things to make. So we call them WAGs. We don't like WAGs, wild guesses, in the operations world. We want data. So we created an algorithm, and what the algorithm does is, so the chef says, forecast for dinner tonight, meatloaf. That's the AI prompt. And what the AI algorithm does is it looks back in the history, going all the way back to the first day the community was using the system, and it says, how many times have we sold meatloaf? And you'll get the days and you'll get the quantities that were sold or served. Then you get, was that at lunch or breakfast or dinner? We're honing in on now the time of the day, what we call serving period. Then we look at all the times we sold meatloaf for dinner, what did we sell it against? Because if we sold it against pizza, pizza might be very popular. Where if we sold it against liver and onions, which I happen to like liver and onions, but most people don't, against liver and onions, you might have sold a lot of meatloaf because it's not liver and onions. So we look at what it was sold against, how much was sold. We even look at the weather because weather causes people to change decision making when it comes to food items that they're ordering. Is it a seasonal item? Is there an appeal for this because it's in season? So the algorithm looks at all of that and in about 10 seconds tells the chef you need to make 78 portions of meatloaf for dinner tonight. And what we're finding for those communities that are using this solution is they reduce their food waste all the way down to plus or minus 5%. So that's just one little thing that we put into our solution to help reduce waste and increase profitability in the senior living communities. And this ties back to when you know how much of things that you've sold and you're looking to plan now, we're now in the fourth quarter of 2025, you're looking to plan your winter menu. You can look back at all of the previous winters. What were the popular items? What were the items that nobody liked? And the system will make the recommendation on the entrees you should be serving going forward. So again, you might have a chef that's super creative and they could customize a recipe, they could put things together on the fly. But when you provide the data for what the residents like, you allow them to take that creative energy and put it to what's the presentation going to be? Hey, this dish is popular. Are we going to present it or serve it a different way? Are we going to garnish it a different way? So you allow them to take that creative energy and move it to a place where it's able to elevate the experience for the residents. This is what this is all about. So these are few of the ways that we make dining and care more personal using artificial intelligence. Then you get into in the room stuff, sensors and monitors that have just come so far in predictive analysis. And so what they're looking at, they have sensors in the bed. They have sensors that for movement, for restlessness, sleepless nights, going to the bathroom too many times. Everything that can happen inside of a room for a resident can all be tracked. And of course, the smartwatch, what's called the Internet of Things technology, we're now monitoring blood pressure in addition to heart rate or pulse, body temperature. All of this data is all coming in. And because of the quantity of data, most people, most humans, caretakers, there's too much data. You can't do anything with it. You can't make intelligent business decisions. And so what AI is doing is now it's consuming all of that data. It's doing the recommendations. This is what we call business intelligence, and it's providing actionable feedback to the residents, to the caretakers for the residents in their behalf. So we're able to elevate the quality of care. This reduced healthcare costs significantly. And in full disclosure, we don't provide these types of solutions. We're more in the interaction transaction, but there are many companies out there that we work alongside of that do these technologies and absolutely do a great job at it. So if you're looking for any recommendations on companies that do this and do this well, reach out to us and we have some recommendations for you. So, what is this relationship? How do we as humans work side by side with AI in order to have this partnership? Well, one thing is to realize it doesn't replace humans. There are jobs that are being replaced by AI today. Absolutely, there are jobs. And what I tell people when they participate in one of my webinars or one of my classes is that people will lose their jobs today to other people who are using AI as a tool. So for everybody who joined this webinar today, congratulations, you're on the forefront. And in some of the stats we've been seeing coming out, there's only 20-25% of employees using these tools. The vast majority of the American workforce is still not engaged with AI, which, on one side breaks my heart. On the other side gives you all an advantage because you're here, you're learning, and you're doing this stuff. And so by increasing your productivity, knowing that if you're using these tools, you're going to have a job, that you have a future in this. The focus of this is, again, is to empower the staff, to enhance empathy, to just continuously give you the opportunity to improve it so that you can dominate your marketplace. Whoever that you're competing with, you get your occupancy rate up to 100%. We have a lot of communities around the country that are at 100, or I got one that's at 99.5, just one apartment, the CD left to fill. So we're thrilled when a community reaches that level and then goes beyond. In the ecosystem itself, what are some of the actual tools themselves that you could be looking for? There's a myriad of them. And in fact, the latest thing is called agents. And so an agent is a piece of software code tied to an LLM model that does something. So for example, you can see on the screen there, one of the agents does web scraping. And this is kind of a cool thing. Basically, there's a thing called an RSS feed. All news sites and information sites, they all have them. And it's basically just a formatted way for a system to tap that news source and receive the information. When you collect the information in through an AI solution, you then can polish, you can reformat the information. This is for creating a newsletter. So let's make this applicable right now for a senior living community. You have local sources. Let's say I happen to be working with somebody in Kansas City right now. And I lived in Missouri in a previous life. So I love the Kansas City market. So let's say if I were the executive director of a senior living community in the heart of Kansas City, I would tie into the Kansas City Star newspaper. I would tie into all of these local sources, and I would collect what's happening now, what events, what concerts, what art shows. And I'd be working with our resident care staff. We're going to take our community bus and we're going to go visit this amazing art show that's up on the hill and allow our residents to go interface with indie painters and potters. And we're just going to provide an amazing quality of life experience for our residents. And we got that because we have an agent that every night is web scraping, bringing all this data in, and then bringing it out in an email format or a community engagement platform to let the residents know what's going on. And so that's one way that you could do this, and it becomes fully automated. From the agent initiating the collection of the information, to the agent creating the email, to the agent that sends the email out to all the residents. This process that I'm sharing with you, this business process, is fully automated from start to finish. It can run one time a week. It can run every other day, however often you think you need to refresh what's going on. And of course, you need to be sharing your community's activities in this newsletter, right? And so if you got yoga in the back lawn for the residents, and you're going to do an in-house arts and crafts on clay pottery, whatever it is that you're doing in your community, that should be merged with the local community information that's coming together. And that's how you get a higher quality newsletter that automatically happens. Because what happens in our world is we delegate a human being to be the newsletter person, and then they get sick or they leave and go get another job, something happens, and we just turn around one day and ask the question, what happened to our newsletter? Mary Sue left. She's working somewhere else. So we lost our newsletter. You can put these things in place and they just automatically happen. And so, again, going back to what we do, our point of sale, our transaction collection program is called SI360. And what we do is we monitor interactions all across the senior living community. So we're there in the room. We can help with housekeeping, repair and maintenance. Of course, we started in the dining room. We significantly elevate the experience for residents in the dining room. And in all of this comes back to, if you've got a multi-unit operation, comes back to headquarters where they can look across all the different communities and see all the metrics really on how the staff and the residents are interfacing at the community. So, happening right now. This is actually a case study. And so these are some of the things we saw. This is a 300, just a little over 300 resident lifespan community. Some of the things that they saw the resident satisfaction scores go up 22%. Residents are utilizing our digital assistant. And what we do in working with the community is we put together a survey system. Now, it's not what you might expect where we're saying, Sue Mary, how was your breakfast today? Would you rate it on a scale from 1 to 10? It's nothing like that at all. What we're doing is we're asking residents specific questions. So you had the 2 eggs and bacon for breakfast this morning. Were the eggs cooked the way that you liked it? I see that Timmy was your server. Did Timmy take great care of you? And so we ask very specific questions about very specific interactions on a cadence that the community wants. So if they want to see 500 feedback points over the course of a week, you got 300 residents. So we're going to be tapping the residents on average 1.5 times a week in order to collect this information, goes into a database table, comes back as a report. And again, this is a human interaction. This is our avatar asking the resident questions, the residents providing the feedback, the conversations are stored in a vector database, and everything is analyzed for your community's benefit. So we mentioned the food waste coming down, the resident satisfaction scores coming up, the forecasting, the ability to have visibility to get ahead of the things that are happening. What can you do as far as getting started with any of this? Well, our recommendation is always get started personally. There are free versions of everything out there. And so and if you just wait a week, there'll be a better AI solution that's out there. I mean, it's just they bounce around as to who's number one, but all of them are so excellent in what they provide you. I recommend you test drive a few and get to the one that you like. So ChatGPT, they get credit for being the first to deliver an actual working intelligence solution. I use ChatGPT to this day. I'm on the $20 a month plan. The free plan works great. Second, I recommend Anthropic. Their solution is Claude AI. That's CLAUDE.ai. And free account, it works great. It's more math coding based, but it puts together PowerPoint presentations. It can do all kinds of great stuff for you. And those are two great ones. Facebook has one. Meta has one. I have a lot of friends that are using Grok because they're into the X platform. Grok is fantastic. And Elon Musk, in a very short period of time, put out a class LLM. So you get great things from Grok. So just start getting involved in using it. And then, kudos to the folks that joined this webinar that you're in the forefront. So we have a lot of our partners that are using this. We have some folks that step in softly with us. They'll put our system into a dining room or just some part of their community. And once we're helping them in that area, then they expand. They add more software and hardware solutions, and then they consume more of our solution set across their entire community. We have some folks that just go crazy with us and they put everything in because we have more things on our solution set that you could possibly imagine. So those are how we work with folks. There's an implementation roadmap that's here on the screen on how we do a workflow analysis. When somebody really truly engages us, the process takes 8 weeks because there's a lot of setup in this. It's not a willy-nilly knee-jerk thing. We have to learn who the ED, the culinary director, resident services director, we have to learn all the players at the community and then come alongside them to put together that battle plan on how we're going to help them elevate the resident experience. So it's quite lengthy and involved, but that's just because it's customized to the community. And even within a group, no community is the same as the rest of them. No market is the same as the rest of them. So there's always nuances that we run across to nonstop. So in the future, Vision AI is something that I'm super excited about. With this, we're going to post this. There was a question on the fly. We're going to post this presentation online. We'll send you a link to it, and we'll be having more of these as we go forward. So thanks so much for joining us. Predictive and the predictive analysis is just going to keep getting deeper and deeper. I love voice, the voice interaction chatbot. That's why we created Rudy and Sandy to have a more human experience. The business intelligence is going to keep getting deeper and deeper as far as reporting and business actionable steps that a site can take. And what a community is going to get, they're going to be smarter, they're going to be safer, they're going to be more results oriented. All of this benefits the residents and helps drive up the resident expectation. So these are the things that we're seeing, and I could talk for 30 minutes pretty fast. If there's any questions, hey, we don't have to cut it off hard here in less than a minute. But if you have any questions, raise your hand or pop on. Otherwise, this is wrap up. What can you do if you're looking to engage? I have some personal tips that I have in another video. 5 ways to engage personally with AI. I recommend you learn the 5 steps of starting a conversation with AI. In fact, Arnell, we might put that as a link when we get this video posted so people can go back to that. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you coming and hanging out with us. Of course, check out our website. We got a lot of stuff there. Check out our YouTube channel for Serving Intel. Arnell puts out links where you can grab a 30-minute slot with me if you just want to have a one-on-one call. I love interfacing with people and helping people use this stuff to get more out of it. I'm speaking at the California Assisted Living Show out in Palm Springs. That is November, I believe it's 5th, 6th, and 7th. I don't have my exact date. I think it's posted now, so I need to figure out what it is. But I'll be speaking out there with an excellent gentleman, Darren Leonardson. He's with Transform Culinary, and the two of us, he does a lot of things in virtual reality. We're going to be doing a 1-hour presentation on how to rock your senior living community with all things technology and AI. So I think we're there. So appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for more and make it a blessed day. Thank you.